And with that, we go the next 3-4 weeks of basketball, pro and college, is really good. Brews joining us, Chris Broussard live from New York. First things first after our show. So we got into this thing. So Coach Bickerstaff was furious about the way his team was being, the game was being officiated. And I said this, is that the NBA's got a lot of young officials. Okay, they've got a crop of young officials. And those young officials are giving, there's a knock on it that they're giving a lot of the veteran stars the whistle, and Detroit's not established as a winning team. So Bickerstaff's basically saying, we don't get the respect whistle at all in this league. Does he have a little bit of a point when his biggest star is Cade Cunningham and they're playing the Brunsons and the Tatums and the Browns your take on that?
No, you're absolutely right. And he's right. And they aren't getting that respect. The officials are human. And that's been the case throughout the decades of the NBA. And we've always seen the superstars get calls. And teams that establish their identity as physical, defensive teams, they get a little leniency as well. We used to see it with the old Detroit Pistons, both groups that won championships, Chauncey Billups' group, Isaiah Thomas' group, the Bad Boys. You see it with OKC. Over the past few years, they've established themselves as a physical defensive team, so they get a little leniency there.
Yeah.
And Detroit, this is the first year they're doing that. And so now, if they continue to rise and be a good team and Cade becomes a star and this is how they play, they'll start to get that benefit as well.
Yeah. I will tell you, there is something to be said about there's the dog days of the NBA, and then you're seeing certain guys, they take a little rest break. But it's interesting, the hottest team in the league now is Minnesota. So now here comes Ant, the rotation's down, Julius Randle. Should we buy him? We know the coaching's good. We know they can defend. We know Ant. What do you make of, in all of a sudden, Golden State and Minnesota are really hot?
Yeah, I think I said a week ago on here that my top three teams in the West were OKC, the Lakers, and Denver as far as coming out. I'm now liking Golden State better than Denver, but I still think Denver's going to, be a force to be reckoned with. And I'll throw Minnesota right there after those teams. And Denver certainly doesn't want to see Minnesota. We know Minnesota beat them last year. Minnesota's athleticism and length on the perimeter, Jaden McDaniels, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, obviously Anthony Edwards. They've got long perimeter defenders that can bother you. Now they figured out how we're going to use Julius Randle. He's gotten more comfortable, so now he's more efficient than he was earlier in the year and has accepted his role where he's at. It's Anthony Edwards' team. So, yeah, they are playing well at the right time. Like you said, we know they've got good coaching. And on the perimeter, after you get by those long, rangy defenders, now you have to deal with Rudy Gobert at the rim, not to mention Naz Reid flying in here and there and doing some stuff defensively. So that's where their bread is buttered on the defensive end. And then offensively, they have the dynamic player in Edwards who can create against any defense.
So it is – I want to talk about the Warriors here because I said one of the reasons I think Butler has worked is that despite the fact that the Warriors have been fun and flashy, they got a lot of guys who have had tough upbringings, been ignored. I mean, even Steve Kerr had the tragedy in his family. He was a fighter with Michael Jordan. I covered him. He's a tough guy. Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green, second round. Steph Curry had to go to Davidson. People didn't know if they were going to keep him or Monte Ellis. Is that there's a toughness and a resilience and a fight to Golden State. Now, we all know that Jimmy Butler's background, he's a fighter. But that's why I think KD ultimately didn't really fit the culture, and Butler does. Because that the Warriors have this sort of feistiness to them, and Butler's a perfect fit. But is he a better fit? I mean, is this a regular season thing, or do you take the Warriors seriously right now? It sounds like you do going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I do take him seriously because, Butler, and it's interesting. You said, is this a regular season thing? We haven't even seen playoff Jimmy yet. And he does get better in the playoffs. He's done it essentially every year of his career since he's become a star-level player. So he's going to get better. And I think he fits perfectly with Draymond because you're right. I mean, Steph was obviously doubted. He came from Davidson. Kerr was in a fight with Michael Jordan. I don't know if he was viewed as a tough guy, but, I get what you're saying. He had to overcome obstacles as well. But Draymond has kind of been the hub of that team as far as he gives them the toughness that they have. And now you've got a second guy in Butler who's just as tough as Draymond. And so now you got two guys who are pretty tough. They're obviously not a big team, but heck, there's not even tall teams in the NBA aren't incredibly physical anymore. And so I think they're tough enough. And, yeah, I think they're going to be a tough out. I give them a shot. I like the Lakers in the West. I've said that. OKC, I just think is young. OKC Golden State would be a tremendous series for me to watch because I would want to see, could Golden State, with their experience, overcome the youthful energy and skill and defense that the Thunder play with. But, yeah, I'm giving Golden State a chance in the West.
So Josh Hart and Tibbs had a moment over the weekend where you saw them battle back and forth. Now, it's one thing in Phoenix where Budenholzer knows KD's gone. But Tibbs is battling with a crucial part of that team, Josh Hart. What did you make of that?
Well, look, I think I said it on this show, Colin. The Knicks, if they go out like we all expect them to, let's face it, in the second round, maybe even the first round, but in the second round, and aren't incredibly competitive with Cleveland, or I should say Boston is probably who they could end up matching up with, then I think they need to make a coaching change. Not because Tibbs isn't great and hasn't done a very good job, but they need a new voice. The talent is there. Jalen Brunson, star. Karl Anthony Towns, star. Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, several other guys. Really solid role players, and Tibbs has gotten a lot out of them. But we see this in the league. Obviously, Steve Kerr took that Golden State team to another level. But we're seeing it now. JB Bickerstaff is clearly a good coach. Did a great job in Cleveland. Now he's doing a great job in Detroit. But Cleveland just fired him because they needed a new voice. And now Kenny Atkinson is tremendous with Cleveland and probably will be coach of the year. And so I just think if they go out early, they're going to need a new voice to get to the next level where they can compete with Boston and Cleveland to try to win the East.
All right, I'm going to let you go. You have a hoarse voice. You're going to save it for your show. Do you fill out a bracket? I got Auburn winning a natty. J-Mac will tell us tomorrow who I have Auburn and Tennessee meeting. I think the SEC stacked. Do you have a team you like in the tournament, by the way?
I like Duke, assuming Cooper Flagg can be Cooper Flagg. Maybe they could sit him out, obviously, for the first game, maybe even the second game. But if he can become, get back to playing 100%, then I like Duke. A lot of people like Florida, which certainly has a chance, but I'm going to go with Duke.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. Fun to watch always. Hey, great seeing you, Brew. Get healthy, buddy.
All right. All right.